There is a lot happening. The former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who spoke to one of the local stations, talked, of course, of his fallout with President William Ruto and also what has been happening after he was removed from office through an impeachment. He alleges that whatever took place in Limuru, that is in Kiambu County last week, the fracas that were witnessed there during a burial ceremony were an assassination plot. And the DCI was used to abduct some of his close allies. Even as he has taken a swipe at President Ruto's programs, including the Social Health Authority, more specifically, how the procurement of the ICT systems jumped from a cost of 700 million Kenya shillings, which was the upgrade the NHIF would have done on, of course, its systems, to a whopping 104 billion Kenya shillings. Rigathi Gachagua says 104 billion Kenya shillings is not 104 shillings, basically just allowing the numbers to scream. And so we'll be discussing that, and as well how there is a possible coalition between Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, and George Natembeya, even as we gear towards the 2027. At the same time, Raila Odinga, who attended an event in the Western region on Sunday, that is yesterday, mocked Gachagua, who says he was ensnared in his own traps, actually at State House. Remember, at some point, Rigathi Gachagua said that he had set traps to not allow Raila Odinga to handshake President William Ruto. And so, Raila Odinga has come out to mock Gachagua. This even as, of course, those who are questioning why Raila Odinga is still meddling in the politics, the local politics, rather than focusing on his AUC bid. We'll be focusing on that. Even as there are sustained calls for transparency in the cancellation of the Adani deals, leaders are urging the government to make public the contract between Kenya and the Adani takeover, of course, of the K24 that is in the energy sector, and as well that of the JKA. However, the Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi says it's only one deal that had been signed so far. We'll be focusing on that, and as well, even as President William Ruto is calling for an end of animosity between the state and the church, saying the state is not in competition, or the church should not be in competition with the state. This is what will form our conversation this morning with my key guests in studio. That is Honorable James Gakuya, who is the Embakasi North Member of Parliament, also the Chair of the Trade Committee of the National Assembly, Rachel Omolo, a governance expert, and as well Arnold Maliba is the Head of Policy and Public Affairs at the ruling party UDA. But I also invite you in this conversation via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha, as well on SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. We'll be getting, of course, to sample some of them before wrapping up New Dawn this morning. I'll also be highlighting what is on our dailies shortly, but let's focus on this story where now the African Union chairmanship candidate Raila Odinga, for the first time, broke his silence over the impeachment of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Raila has taunted Gachagua by claiming that the traps he set up to stop him from engaging President Ruto with an aim of a handshake entangled him and forced him out of government. Odinga was speaking during the Thanksgiving ceremony of ODM Deputy Party Leader Godfrey Osotsi in Vihiga, as Martin Opio now reports.
Despite promising that he will no longer be involved in local politics and will instead focus on his African Union chairmanship, Raila Odinga was at the homecoming and Thanksgiving celebrations of the newly appointed ODM party leader, Godfrey Osotsi, where politics took center stage. And for the first time, Odinga opened up over the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's impeachment while taunting him on his tribulation following his assertions that he had set traps that was to prevent Odinga from engaging Ruto with an aim of a handshake.
Muliona juzi mtu mwingine anabweka kule. Anabweka tio, timeweka mitego. Nimeweka mitego kila mahali. Hawezi kupenya. Hawezi kuingia mahali yote. Simuona hiyo jamaa? Simuona? Mtego aina gani? Tendawili. 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 Mtego wa panya kuingia waliomo na wasiokuwemo.
While using riddle analogies, Odinga claims that Gachagua was entangled by the same traps he laid.
Hiyo mtego ya Gachagua. Aliweka mtego kule kwa State House. Anawekea baba mtego. Ati hakuna mambo ya handshake. Hakuna mambo ya mzumukati. Ako wapi sasa Gachagua? Ako wapi?
The ceremony brought together ODM and Kenya Kwanza leaders who did not hesitate to throw scathing attacks at Gachagua, with some choosing to remind him of the persecution he led against their party leader during the 2023 demos. They warned him that opposition is not easy, that he should be resilient.
Sasa we umeingia pale, ukifukuzwa kidogo na viti namna hii, unaanza kulia machozi, inajaza bakuli mzima. Wacha kulia wewe, ulisema wewe ni maumau. Wacha kulialia hapo town. Strengthen yourself, ujue ile mbio ndio imeanza.
Tunakushukuru kwa kushikilia rais. Saa zile alikuwa anasumbuliwa na kusabotajiwa na kiongozi ambaye anafaa kuwa anamsaidia.
Nataka kuambia baba, wewe usijali. Hata ukienda, sisi tukibaki hapa, sisi kama jeshi lako. Kuna German Shepherd, wengine wetu ni Chihuahua. Huyo Gachagua tutamrudisha kwa mtego, tusiage kama mincemeat.
Odinga was lauded for helping President Ruto stabilize his government and escape the chains of his former deputy.
Kwa sababu alikuja na kusaidia ndugu yangu President William Samoei Ruto kwa serikali, bila mnajua ile mteko ilikuwa imetekwa. Tunasema asante kwa kusaidia ndugu yetu William Ruto kwa broad-based government.
Ruto also received his fair share of attacks with warnings against undermining any of the leaders from the opposition that joined the government.
Na tunaambia president asante, lakini tutakuangaisha kama ODM, tutakupelekeza utatuheshimu na uheshimu baba.
Na unajua Raila anaanza kupiga firingi saa yote. Akisema tutoke, tutatoka.
The confusion on the future of the party and whether ODM will field a presidential candidate in 2027 was overwhelmingly canvassed.
Vile baba amesema 2027 sisi kama ODM lazima tutengeneze serikali. Kivyo vyote vile lazima. Kwa hivyo viongozi wetu kutoka Western, Nyanza, Kwanza lazima tushikane pamoja tuhakikishe kwamba tumeenda mbele.
Chama chetu cha ODM lazima iwe imara. Chama chetu haiwezi kumezwa hata kama ni kwa njia gani. 2027 lazima tuwe tayari. Tutatembea pamoja mkoa huu kuunganisha watu wetu pamoja, na kwa chama tutatengeneza chama cha ODM kiwe na nguvu tukishirikiana na viongozi mmeona hapa.
Lakini ya muhimu ni kwamba hao viongozi wanakushikilia chama wakati unaenda AU. Maana hii chama ni yako na hakuna mtu atachukua hii chama, tunakungoja ukishamaliza kazi yako ya AU unarudi kutuongoza.
The elusive Luhya unity was reiterated, with leaders claiming that the broad-based government brought them together, but in future they should all be under one banner of ODM.
Hii chama yetu ya ODM ndio imetufanya sisi tufike mahali tuko. Hii broad-based imeleta watu wa magharibi mwa Kenya pamoja.
Hili jimbo la Western wewe huwa unalicontrol 90%. Na mimi nataka kukuambia kwamba sisi zote kama jamii ya Mulembe tuko pamoja. Tuko pamoja.
Local politics also featured, with Senator Utsotsi and Makadara Member of Parliament Georgia Ladwa going head-to-head over the Vihiga gubernatorial race. Martin Opio, K24 TV.
Meanwhile, President William Ruto has slammed a section of the political class over what he termed as politics of tribalism and exclusion. Speaking during a church service in Kimana, Kajiado County, President Ruto emphasized the need for politicians to preach peace, while emphasizing the need for the church to work closely with the government. Ian Kitani with the details.
With the ever-rising political temperatures in the country, amid exchanges between the political class, President William Ruto, during a church service in Kimana, Kajiado County, cautioned leaders against politics of tribalism and hatred. His sentiments coming just days after his former deputy was attacked during a funeral in Limuru.
Politics of exclusion, the politics of tribalism, the politics that divides people, we get rid of it in the Republic of Kenya. Nia yetu ni kuunganisha wananchi wote. We want to work together. Hakuna haja ya malumbano, hakuna haja ya mashindano ambayo yanagawanya wananchi. Tunataka tutembee pamoja.
Na msikubali kiongozi yeyote aje kuwaletea siasa za ukabila na migawanyiko hapa Kajiado. Munaona hata Kenya mzima tuliungana, wale wa siasa za ukabila na migawanyiko tumeweka kando ili tusonge sisi wote kama nchi moja.
Let us be allergic to all those who preach tribalism.
Amid fierce exchanges between the clergy and the government in recent weeks, President William Ruto emphasized the need for the church to work closely with the government.
There is no competition between the church and others, or between the state and the church. We are one partners, we are one country. Na wauliza ndugu wa Kenya, nchi hii haiwezi kufaulu kwa migawanyiko. Nchi hii haiwezi kufaulu kwa mashindano ya kugawanya watu. We have to be united. We have to work together. The church and the state must work together. Leaders from communities, all of them must work together.
Despite the clarion call by the president, his lieutenants, led by Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, continued with their onslaught on the church, slamming the Catholic Church, claiming donations made by the president were yet to be returned despite being declined.
Pesa umesema ikirudishwa, ni kumaanisha hata wewe unajua haijarudishwa. Na ikirudishwa, niko na list mrefu. Kwa hivyo nitauliza rais, akipata ile anaambiwa atarudishiwa, anipe, nitawagawia nono kidogo sababu nimesikia mmesoma Biblia vizuri. Halafu ingine kidogo tupeleke kwingine. Lakini nisisitize bado haijarudishwa. Unajua nilisikia juzi wengine wakisema imerudishwa mpaka yenye ilikuwa ni ahadi. Sababu rais alipeana kiasi na ingine akasema itakuja baadaye. Sasa hata ile ya kuja baadaye kuna wanasema imerudishwa na haijafika. Utarudishaje yenye haijafika?
It is during the service that the Social Health Authority, now dubbed Taifa Care, took center stage. Leaders present insisting that it is the only way to solve challenges in the health sector.
Sisi viongozi tunaweza kuwa na bima. Kwa nini mwananchi wa kawaida asiwe na bima? Ndio akasema kwamba yule ambaye anapokea mshahara atatozwa kodi, na lile kodi litatumika kumpatia bima yule ambaye hana mshahara.
Well, of course, that is President William Ruto, who was attending a church service yesterday, that is on Sunday. Remember, this, of course, will still form a better part of a conversation this morning, and talk to us once again via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha, as well on our SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. I'll be glad to sample some of them before wrapping up New Dawn this morning, even as I wait my guests in studio. Let's now also focus on what took place in Nakuru County, where Kalonzo Musyoka also had attended a church event.
Pasaka tunaisherehekea mpaka sherehe ya mwisho ama awamu ya pili ya kipindi cha kawaida. Kila tukio lolote la kiliturujia
kwa hivyo mwenende sawa.
Pia wa kanisa. Liturujia kuanzia Dominika ya 7 ya kawaida ya 8.
When we say stop abductions, we do it. When we say stop Andani, we go to court and stop him. Now, as we speak, a Kenyan industrialist by the name Benson Detta is at Muthaiga police station when a High Court judge already issued orders to say he should be released forthwith, and all the persons with an interest in that matter should not interfere with his freedom until matters are sorted out in court. Benson Detta is a Kenyan from Western Province and started a company called Savannah Cement. You may have seen us going to court because that's what we mean, demonstrate leadership by doing something. We are not going to be criticizing and sitting down. This is why tunasema the next round of maandamano will not just be Gen Z, it will be Gen Zote, because Kenyans cannot take it anymore.
As the opposition, we want to say we stand with the church, and particularly the statement issued by the bishops. And the bishops were very specific. We need to stop the lies. Let's return Kenya to being a country under the rule of law, not a country under the rule of lies. And it still remains. They are still telling lies even as we speak. The bishops say they should stop the abductions. As we speak, abductions are still going on. We heard about what happened to the former MP Mwadhi of Limuru. They are still abducting Kenyans. So we stand with what the bishop says, stop these abductions, stop the corruption.
Away from that, people living with disabilities have expressed concerns, of course, over neglect and societal misnorms in the fight against HIV and AIDS, while men now top the list of the most affected as the world marked World AIDS Day on Sunday. Kisumu County is currently leading in new HIV infections, with men topping the list.
Meet Galens Eve Wahungu, a youth champion living positively with HIV and AIDS, interacting with her peers shortly before joining the celebration. She shares her journey and contribution in the fight against HIV and AIDS, expressing her concerns over what her personal experience has been.
At some point it becomes very difficult to access health and maybe to access medication, healthcare medication treatment, because of the stigma around, because people believe that if you are a person with disability, you cannot be HIV positive, which is very wrong. HIV is for everyone, it does not choose. In normal cases, PWDs don't go for HIV testing since they fear how the workers will look at them, the response they will get when they got there, because most of them are somehow not educated on how to handle and to serve a person with disability.
She breaks down emotionally when she vividly pictures the burden of HIV stigma among those living with disabilities as encountered at the health facilities and at community level. Her friend lends her a shoulder to lean on as they both cry together. Injectable long-acting antiretrovirals are a major advancement in HIV treatment. This bi-monthly injections offer an alternative to daily oral medications, improving adherence and addressing stigma associated with HIV treatment. However, in Kenya, access to these injectables remains limited due to high cost and logistical challenges, hindering their availability to men and other undeserved groups. Sylvester Agaya, a youth champion, shares his opinion on the same, as he calls for the need to create more awareness on the new advancement in the fight against HIV and AIDS.
Right now there is a progress by the government acknowledging the self-injectables that we can use, also to promote privacy and confidentiality. But the issue is there's a lot of lack of access to information. Most community, men and women, do not know that self-injectables exist. They have also not sought some guidance so that they can know under what conditions they can use it and where to access it. So there has been a lot of accessibility issues. They are not easily accessible because, as far as I'm concerned, most public facilities right now, especially in the community level 4, level 3, they do not use it as per now.
According to Eric Okioma, the team leader at Nelson Mandela TB HIV Information CBO, who spoke to K24 TV on phone, addressing these barriers are essential, especially as men face unique challenges, including lower healthcare seeking behaviors and systemic gaps in HIV programs tailored to their needs. Additionally, the intersection of HIV and gender-based violence against men must be addressed, as men experience forms of gender-based violence, including emotional, physical, and economic abuse, often compounded by societal norms that discourage them from speaking out.
We've focused so much on the girl child, neglecting the boy child. The society has also orchestrated man to be man in the society, so that even when there is a challenge, a man is not able to share. They've not normalized these discussions around taking care of us as men.
We are also advocating for what we call positive masculinity. A lot of reports have come out in this nation where we have a lot of femicide, women being killed. Most of the killers of these women are men. And so we want to encourage men that it is time for us to dialogue. Violence does not pay. Violence is a crime.
As these concerns take a center stage as the world marks World HIV and AIDS Awareness Day, Kisumu County now leads in new infections, with both boys and men topping the list with over 50,000 cases.
Men in Kisumu County, they are leading in terms of HIV burden. It's over 50,000 men, and boys are living with HIV. And that's a challenge, Kisumu being number 1. In the whole 47 counties of Kenya is a challenge because most men are actually breadwinners in their families. When a man is down with a sickness, it really has economic challenge within their household.
The fete was also marked in different parts of the country, with this year's theme being Ending HIV and AIDS by 2030, taking the opportunity to encourage mass testing for HIV among the youth and old. Mumbi Chege for K24.
Well, as promised, actually, today we'll be focusing on the state of the nation, and already my guests are in studio. They have started debating. It is going to be a hot one this morning. Seated on my immediate right is Arnold Maliba, Head of Policy and Public Affairs, the ruling party UDA. Thank you so much for getting time.
Thank you.
Rachel Omolo, she's a governance expert, seated right in the middle. Asante sana for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
And as well, Honorable James Gakuya, who's the Embakasi North Member of Parliament, also the chair of the Trade Committee in the National Assembly, a close ally of the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. At this juncture, we take a short commercial break. Keep the conversation going via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Church, and as well as SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. I'll be glad to sample them even as you contribute on the state of the nation this morning. We take a short commercial break. We'll be right back. So stay tuned.
Mr. DJ Lucky. When it comes to playing the best music videos, we've got you covered. K24 TV Mix Master. When it comes to a lineup of all the fresh DJs, we've got that too. Yeah! Check this out. Caribbean.
Controversy starts from the t-shirt reader.
Afrobeat. Our famous and infamous Kenyan jazz.
By the way, let me tell you my...
And all the hits from across the globe.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
This is the Beatbox. Monday to Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. only on K24.
Follow the champions on the home of football. Watch the latest Man City content exclusively. Full match replays, extended highlights, coaches' interviews.
The target is not to win the Premier League, it's just, okay, next game, try to win it, this is what they have to do.
Players' interviews.
In general, the quality has been high and it's been good.
Behind the scenes and more. Every Saturday at 1 p.m. only on K24, the home of football.
Bad breakfast experiences? I get it. Morning Vibe is here to switch it up. An experiential and interactive show to set your vibe just about right. I mean, vibes don't lie. Join me, Remy Majala, every Monday to Thursday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on K24 TV.
At People Daily, we believe small actions lead to monumental changes. As we commit to a greener future, embrace simple steps, reduce, reuse, and recycle. It's time to go green. Kua Green. Switch off unused lights, opt for reusables over disposables, and support eco-friendly products. A choice, no matter how small, makes a difference. Inspire others with your green journey, and together let's shape a more sustainable tomorrow. Kua Green is an initiative of the People Daily.
I will love you without condition.
Oh yeah, Nairobi, Kenya comes alive on the 7th of December 2024.
Malaika.
At SK, the Dome Jamhuri Park Showground from 7 p.m. as the sensational Register Etana will be performing live at the Good Vibes Festival. Tickets are now available at ticketyetu.com. Advanced regular tickets are going for 2,000 and 2,500 shillings at the gate. Advanced VIP tickets are going for 4,000 shillings and 5,000 at the gate, while VVIP tickets are going for 6,000 and 8,000 Kenyan shillings at the gate. Ingia, ticket yetu na ushike tiko yako leo. Come and have some good vibes.
I'm not the sort of person who falls in and quickly out of love. But to you, I give my affection right from the start.
Good morning, I'm glad you're still watching K24's New Dawn. My name is Joel Chacha. Once again, today we focus on the state of the nation. In studio, I'm joined by Arnold Maliba, Head of Policy and, of course, Public Affairs of the ruling party, UDA. Rachel Omolo, she is a governance expert, and as well Honorable James Gakuya, who is the Bakassi North Member of Parliament and the Chair of the Trade Committee in the National Assembly. We highlight what is on our dailies this morning on the People Daily. Alarm as 2,600 kids die of AIDS. That is on the People Daily, which, by the way, has gone green. On the Daily Nation, MPs bid to block job cuts in civil service. And as well, the Standard newspaper, ODM in Ruto dilemma. That is what has been highlighted this morning on our dailies. ODM in Ruto dilemma, where officials of opposition party are split on whether to back President William Ruto or field a candidate in the next election. While Raila Odinga has said the party will field candidates, some feel it will be a better gamble to back the current government and wait another 5 years. Honorable James Gakuya, just to begin with you, ODM is at crossroads, whether they should really go for the top seat come 2027 or support the government of the day come 2027. How do you see the political matrix playing as we gear up towards the next general election?
Thank you, Joe. Allow me to salute you as wherever they are watching us from. Coming to the concerned matter. Personally, I would say politics of 2.5 years is quite a longer journey. And one, ODM has to wait for one factor, that in fact, if Laila will be lucky to win AU position, then the most likely opinion here will be that they will not be having a very suitable candidate for presidency come 2027. And therefore, most likely they will tend to support William Ruto. But in case Odinga may not be lucky in this particular AU position, then chances are that Laila cannot be comfortable to deputize or to become anything lesser than that position of presidency. And most likely, at that point in time, then ODM will be at a point of crossroad to decide whether to cross to move to contend for presidency. Because it is 50-50 in this case. Then the most likely is that if Laila doesn't win in AU, most likely you find Laila at the ballot. That is most likely.
So are you saying it was a gamble for President Ruto when they proceeded to impeach Gachagua before it being clear that Raila Odinga has left local politics by him winning or clinching the AUC position?
I would tell you that, in fact, Laila was just used as a tool just to assist the system to exit Gachagua. But that to me is not anywhere any big price to him. Because he did not, even though he got some few number of positions, and even though he got to get more, he was not winning anything from Central Kenya. Therefore, if anything, he win from Rift Valley, but not in Central. Therefore, he made no any serious effect to the political arithmetics of Central Region. I would think that, in fact, Laila is very sharp in terms of his comfortability. And it is his nature that he has been always in coalitions after an election, and it's not new. We have seen him with Moi, we have seen him with Kibaki, we have seen him with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and now we have seen him with Ruto. So it is his, I would say that is his game, and he knows how to work on it. But that does not mean that you'll be comfortable that Laila will be your supporter come 2027. Maybe if you will be lucky to have win this position, then Ruto can be lucky at 2027.
So for Gachagua's impeachment, could it have been proper if it would have come, if actually it would have come after Raila Odinga's fate at the AUC was clear? Because maybe if, as at now, it's a political gamble that even Raila Odinga someday could work with the Gachagua if it flops at the AUC.
I can tell you for sure. Whoever may be a ruler in this game is not Laila. The ruler in this game can be the head of state. Yes.
Rachel, you know, politics at play already, even as we get towards 2027. Of course, we are just trying to wrap 2024. Today's on 2nd of December. And Raila Odinga in the picture. It's not clear whether they should field a candidate come 2027 or not. But already, according to the Standard newspaper, Raila Odinga wants ODM to have a member or a presidential candidate come 2027. Is this possibly hinting to President Ruto that if at all I flop at the AUC, be ready for me come 2027? And Gachagua could also be part of that coalition.
Absolutely. You know, for any political party, their main aim is to capture power. And if then they cannot strengthen their party, and that's what we saw ODM do, I think that was last week, doing some grassroots elections, so that they strengthen their party for 2027 election. And yes, we are yet to see a paradigm shift come 2027 or towards 2026, where we will know really 2 years, as Mheshimiwa said, is a long time in politics, and so much would happen. But one thing I know for sure is that I think it's Mheshimiwa Mbadi who said that he would find it very difficult to know whom to support between His Excellency Ruto and Baba, if Baba were to buy. But again, you know, at the African Union chairmanship, it's either way, Baba would win or may not. And in the event that he does not, though we pray he does, then he's ultimately going to come back. And if he comes back, then it's going to throw His Excellency Ruto off completely, because if he's targeting the Nyanza region to support him, and ODM has come out very clear saying, we are going to field candidates in all positions, even as at now from the chair, that is Mheshimiwa Gladys Wanga. She spoke about it and said, we are going to field candidates. So that's a wake-up call to UDA, and they are yet to know then whom do we go with, whom can we gamble with. Can we bank on these votes from ODM zone, or we start also looking at other partners whom we can work with come 2027. So it's a wait and see, but in the event that, which is unlikely, that Baba does not make it, then he's going to come back. But it's also a possibility Baba may still come back even when he wins.
So Gachagua allies believe the mountain has shifted, and you know, the AUC elections are up early next year.
Yes.
By the time maybe it's evident that Raila Odinga has not clinched the AUC position, would have President Ruto used the likes of Kindiki to sway the mountain from Gachagua, so that Raila Odinga will not come and get Gachagua on board with the whole mountain backing him, and so that becomes a lose for President Ruto, as Mheshimiwa Gakuya has stated?
I think I said this a while back. I think the choice for the second in command, that is Professor Kindiki, was a serious gamble for His Excellency. If you look at the region where he comes from, it's not like it's a vote-rich county that he would bank on. And again, he has no command of the larger central. So I think for him, he'll have to look for someone else he can really work with to sway the central votes per se. But if he banks on Professor Kindiki, then I don't think he'll get much from the central region. So, and if you're looking at what is playing out now, Team Kalonzo Musyoka is so focused on the central votes, so because they also want to use that to bargain into power. So it would, this time around again, central Kenya would work as a swing vote. Whoever goes there would probably possibly win the election.
Maliba, Raila Odinga fails to clinch the AUC position if that happens. And he has already hinted that come 2027, ODM should field a candidate. Are we looking at a possibility, as Rachel says, vote? Raila Odinga, because an enemy of my enemy is also my enemy.
In politics, there are no permanent enemies, only interests. It's also possible that in future, the second deputy president could end up working with President William Ruto. Only interests are permanent.
But also possibly with Raila Odinga.
So we can't. If Raila Odinga is any prop for teaching, is that he emphasizes, or rather he brings home the concept that in politics there is literally no permanent enemy. What only revolves is actually interest. So we can never say never with about 3 years to go to the next election.
So Maliba, you're hopeful that at some point
I'm not
Gachagua would support President Ruto?
I'm not hopeful. I'm simply stating that in politics you never say never. You never say never. But then having said that, it would be important to, because I also know that the Central Kenya...
Maybe from the same angle, can you refer to a possibility of Raila Odinga working with Gachagua? Because I think you are keen not to say that.
That is why when Mheshimiwa said that in his opinion, the loser would only be the head of state, he was leaving the door open for working with Raila Odinga. Probably you didn't see that, but then I saw that clearly when he said that they do not have a problem working with Raila Odinga in future if that opportunity presents itself. But be that as it may, I think what we are seeing in ODM is what I would call a transition fog. The ODM for the longest time prides itself as the attacking side. Now, they do not know exactly how to proceed. Now they have embraced what I would call the oppo support strategy. They are opposing and supporting at the same time. So that strategy, of course, you can actually understand where that party finds itself. But for purposes of progress, I don't think that a declaration of intent to field a candidate in 2027 at this particular point is anything you can bank. Even though in the past, I know that in the past, we've seen in the last about 5 cycles of elections, is that opinion polls show that Kenyans decide whom to vote for at least 2 years before the next election. That is for the presidency. For the other seats, you could actually fight to the last day. But for the presidency, about 97% of the people who have been polled in the last 5 presidential elections voted for the same person they already had said they would vote 2 years to the election date. So that is, well, but data changes. If this year has actually also taught us anything, is that initially the person who had the monopoly of bringing people to the streets was, of course, Raila Odinga. That was almost his precept. This time round, as a country, we've seen a phenomenon. We were not really using the red ocean thinking. The assumptions that we had were that only Raila would pull such. This time round, we even don't know who pulled that. We've tried to grope up in darkness and try to place it on people. But literally, I do not want to go that direction, but then I would say we do not know who exactly did that. That is that from where I sit, we cannot pinpoint it to an individual, because sustainably, the way it was done, Mheshimiwa here can actually pull crowds here and there. But sustainably, to the extent to which we saw the Gen Z demonstrations, probably they took advantage. I do not know, but that is something that is before courts. But I will tell you that that particular phenomenon then did away with the thinking that only Raila had that capacity. So 2 years, or rather 3 years to an election, I do not think that that declaration that we saw yesterday in Vihiga is anything big. Also, the young people in ODM are actually conflicted. The younger politicians there. They are very conflicted. Because one of those things I'm actually sure is that Raila Odinga, whether he wins AUC or not, this one, I know that in politics, the place of faith is actually so small, but then it still applies. Raila will not, at 83, be on the ballot. His acceptance to go and try out the AUC, which I'm actually very confident that he will win. Looking at how it's playing out, a lot of what you see online is actually Kenyan propaganda. By Kenyans who are angry because they wanted him home to help them fight what they consider as injustices and problems at home. So when you see those things, sometimes we've even forced countries like South Africa, for example, to deny. You know, their countries are struggling. They've realized that our information wars and disinformation wars here are vicious. They even rival the US way of doing things. So what you see online, if you simply focus on Kenyan online engagement around the AUC conversation, you might actually think that Kenyans are going to vote.
The word gamble has been used by Mheshimiwa Gakuya and Rachel. Yeah. Mheshimiwa Gakuya referring to the timeliness of impeaching Gachagua, which possibly could not work in President Ruto's favor if at all Raila Odinga flops. And Rachel states that the gamble by President Ruto was picking Kindiki, because it's almost impossible for him to shift the ground from Gachagua, of course, to his favor. Talk about that. Talk actually about that.
I think if that is the gamble, then I think it's a very progressive gamble, in my opinion. Because what we have seen, both in the first Jubilee administration, the post-2010 setting, and up to pre-Kindiki advent, is that the presidency has looked as if it's a core thing, it's a core presidency where we have got two forces, two centers pulling apart. That way of actually managing public affairs is a little bit dangerous for a country like ours. It's time we honestly knew that there's a figurehead in the presidency and that the deputy president is a principal assistant and not a co-president. We saw a little bit of that from 2013
but
to 20.
But do you ignore the fact that a deputy president should, of course, have numbers and have a ground that come while seeking a re-election? It will really count.
I know for real politics that makes sense, but that was not the thinking of the people who did the constitution. The people who wrote the constitution did not have that thinking.
And maybe that could cause President Ruto to only go for a term rather than 2 terms.
You know, President Ruto did not get elected to be re-elected.
Well.
Anyway, and by the way, we need to demystify public office to a level where Mheshimiwa here does not make Dagoretti North his Embakasi North his birthright. Public office must be demystified, that people come in to serve, do the delivery of public services and goods, and go home when people want them to. Otherwise, this attachment with public office to a level where if you don't do a second term, it feels like you've committed suicide is wrong. Let us demystify public office. We need to depersonalize public office to the level that it's open. Otherwise, if we make it something like it's so important and a very big thing to actually have a second term, then we have people playing games in the first term so that then they are actually re-elected. And then we don't have a country that is moving forward.
Raila Odinga mocked Gachagua, saying he was ensnared in his own traps at State House. But another eye to this, could it be the fact that Raila Odinga is talking about Gachagua? It means something, because previously he thought that Gachagua was not his political age mate, that he could even feature in his conversations. Is he boosting Gashagua's popularity?
Joe, let me tell you, politicians are very tricky. And I can tell you, this morning, I would allude to what one of my panelists has said, that there's no permanent enemies in politics. It will be very possible to see Raila and Gachagua coalition in 2027. As I can tell you, it can happen. The same way you can expect even the devil, which is current situation of Gachagua being under the bus. It is also possible to an alignment where you might see Gachagua also discussing for 2027 matters with the current president. Assume things will be so difficult and things does not work well with the Raila's AU contention, and he's back home. Raila may not be so so serious to contend, but what about his supporters? His supporters, and especially politicians, will push him to go to the ballot because they are survival. And if that is what will happen, then what? William will find himself an exposed candidature come 2027. And he will go in the way, even to talk to his enemy, who today seems to be under the bus. I can tell you this, I'm not saying that this is what is going to happen, but at some stage, you may find such a situation. Because one thing is that, assume the head of state will do his, what we call, a test with mountain, and realize that Kindiki cannot tute it. Where do you think he will move to? He will try to Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And Uhuru Muigai is already a retired officer. And Uhuru decides not to participate. Where else do you think he can move to? He will just try to the same old friend.
So what will happen to Kindiki?
Whether Gachagua will allow, will
what
agree?
Will happen to Kindiki? Because I believe if Gachagua again will have a say in the upcoming general election, that is the 2027 general election, then where does that leave Kindiki? Will Kindiki be Ruto's running mate in 2027, in your opinion?
Me, I can tell you, take this to bank. 2027 position of deputy president is very tricky because picking a running mate will require to assess where support will come from. It has to be additional in number. If not, numbers adding up, then how do you, because there are only 3 positions. The head of state cannot sacrifice his position. That's one. Assume he also want to bring Raila at the 4. What do you think Raila will get? And there's no way he's going to ruin Mudavadi his position or prime cabinet. Then, do you want to say that in fact you leave the position with the Kindiki when Kindiki will deliver 0? The chances are that in fact he may use that carrot to woo somebody who can bring numbers at the box.
So politically for Kindiki, it will be a demotion if at all he fails to become deputy president after the 2027 elections, if President Ruto is re-elected and becomes maybe a minister?
I can tell you for sure. The only thing that in fact that might leave Kindiki with his position or stick to his to the running mate of the head of state 2027 is if Raila Odinga decided now to move to ballot, then the chances are William might decide to leave the position in Mountain. Most likely not with Kindiki, but whoever he thinks, he will think that in fact can be able to turn numbers.
So Kindiki has been promoted from interior cabinet.
At that point, he will be at a crossroad either to bring Kangata on board, somebody who can be able to mobilize numbers.
And what does Kindiki becomes in that case?
No. I can tell. What is Gachagua today?
A former.
Yes, he will just become a former.
It's important to demystify public office. Very, very important.
Rachel, you know, the fact that Raila Odinga used a very big political platform to talk about Gachagua, and previously Raila Odinga will not even counter Gachagua. Does it mean it could be strategically that Raila Odinga is building Gachagua?
Depending on which side of the coin and how you want to look at it, but you see in politics we say any publicity, either bad or good, is good publicity at the end of the day. So in all of this that are happening, the former deputy president, we are just growing his political mileage in either way. And he's gaining ground within Central and is locking Central. And there's something that Mheshimiwa Gakuya is not telling us. And if we were to play history, we've seen over again, anyone who hurts or betrays the mountain, they will decide to betray you. And they pay, literally, they pay back. Like we've seen it during Moi, Kibaki, and with Uhuru. And so I don't think if we should expect anything different with Ruto, that you betray the mountain and they sit pretty and say, we will still support you the same way we did support you. I don't think if that would.
But he has,
so
he has 2.5 years to redeem.
Uhuru tried. In all fairness, he really tried to redeem that image, talking good about Baba, but it still did not work because you felt even your own son betrayed you. So I don't think if your own son you would treat that way, you can treat a stranger any better. So I think that is.
Me, Joe, I don't want to give the head of state a point where he does not have hope in future. I always need to give him hope.
Anyway,
we are not, future.
Yes, anyway, we are not trying to say that he cannot still get allies from Central Kenya. It doesn't have to be Rigiji, because if anything to go by again, Rigiji was impeached, so he cannot even vie. But again, he can push someone to be the running. Yes, a king. Yeah, so it's just a kingmaker and can push someone to be the running.
Future.
But for Kindiki's future,
likely to become a former.
He'll just president. Be most probably at for now at 80%. He'll just be a former deputy
80%.
president at 80%, because in politics is either money or people. Are you
Does he have both?
That is another question we should ask ourselves. You are either bringing, it's not about really optics in his case, because optics is like, are we looking for professionals? We already have quite a number. So I don't think,
just a quick one. You said that Raila used a big platform, of course, to fight the former deputy president. I do not think there is a bigger platform than Raila. Raila himself is the platform. If Raila was not in that event would not get the kind of coverage you've given it, and the media has actually given it today. So Raila is the platform. There is no bigger platform politically.
So is Raila giving Gachagua publicity? And in this case, publicity is publicity. The fact that it's a conversation now.
Not really. He was actually passing that message. He was actually passing that message to other detractors and people who are fighting him. It had nothing to do with the person of the former deputy president. Raila might actually give even Kitendawili.
Kindiki, your deputy party leader, is going to be a former deputy president.
Then it's important to say this before I even respond to that.
We're taking a break, actually.
Rachel says here that the president betrayed Mount Kenya. As in, that is a lie. The president did not betray Mount Kenya. And if you want to know that the president did not betray Mount Kenya, look at the budget. You know, there are only two ways to actually see betrayal. You look at the Gazette notices and you look at the budget.
But you also targeted the budget share and Nyoro.
That has not been done.
When we come back, we'll still be focusing, of course, on matters politics. Keep the conversation going. About social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Church, as well on SMS, and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
When it's a Saturday, there's only one entertainment show in East and Central Africa. Arena 254. Join Aisha Wanjiku and Tony Mwirigi for all the artistic interviews fused with amazing entertainment conversations and sizzling hot live DJ mixes. Catch this and so much more every Saturday from 10 p.m.
Skuzi nimechizi na wakanesa manzi mkamba anishuko mirema.
Only on K24 TV.
Step into a world of emotions, relationships.
Kumbe mama, ulikuwa unafikiria kuolewa tena? Yini unijali hata kidogo, wewe ni mbaya.
Dilemmas and complexities of life.
Mwanamke hamhitaji mwanaume ili aweze kuwa na furaha.
Love.
Vedika, kiukweli mimi nakupenda sana wewe.
Betrayal.
Mimi nilikupa kila kitu ambacho wewe ulikuwa unakihitaji. Lakini leo umeamua kunidanganya na kuusaliti uaminifu wangu.
And secrets.
Tafadhali usimwambie Sahil kuhusu hili.
Get ready for an emotional roller coaster ride filled with drama.
Sahil wangu yuko wapi? Nataka uniambie Sahil yuko wapi? Siyafanya chochote kile Sahil jamani.
Passion. And unforgettable moments. Don't miss Aapke Ajanase every Tuesdays to Fridays on your favorite TV station, K24.
Agriculture is the engine of economic growth in Kenya. It is the largest contributor to Kenya's GDP. Farming, if well practiced, is a profitable venture. Kilimo na Biashara is a show that seeks to help Kenyan farmers adopt modern farming practices to grow their agribusiness. Join Linda Koskei every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. as she delves into the best farming techniques and technology only on K24.
Have you watched K24? We would love to hear from you. Send us your feedback on what you like and what you don't like and why. You can use any platform to reach us. We can be reached on Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp.
I will love you without condition.
Oh yeah, Nairobi, Kenya comes alive on the 7th of December 2024.
Malaika.
At SK, the Dome Jamhuri Park Showground from 7 p.m. as the sensational Register Etana will be performing live at the Good Vibes Festival. Tickets are now available at ticketyetu.com. Advanced regular tickets are going for 2,000 and 2,500 shillings at the gate. Advanced VIP tickets are going for 4,000 shillings and 5,000 at the gate, while VVIP tickets are going for 6,000 and 8,000 Kenyan shillings at the gate. Ingia, ticket yetu na ushike tiko yako leo. Come and have some good vibes.
I'm not the sort of person who falls in and quickly out of love. But to you, I give my affection right from the start.
Good morning, this is K24's New Dawn. My name is Joel Chacha and today we focus on the state of the nation. In studio, I'm joined by Arnold Maliba, Head of Policy and Public Affairs at the ruling party UDA, Rachel Omolo, a governance expert, and as well Honorable James Gakuyas, the Embakasi North Member of Parliament and the Chair of the Trade and Trade Committee in the National Assembly. Maliba, President Ruto betrayed the mountain, according to Rachel, and he instead gave them Kindiki, who, according to Gachagwa's allies, Kindiki is actually inconsequential politically. There is still a remaining position of the Interior Cabinet Secretary. Could President Ruto give that position to the mountain? It's hinted Mutahi Kagwe could take it.
First of all, let me go back to my initial point. I said that we need to demystify the tenure of public office so that then it doesn't feel like it's a region's birthright or an individual's birthright. So, first of all, Kindiki comes from the mountain. So if the mountain just wanted one of its sons, it has got much more than the person of the former deputy president. Now that we have got Kindiki, if the mountain is talking, assuming that that is the Rigiji's allies are actually the mountain talking, then you would actually tell them, are there lesser sons and daughters? He's an equivalent, or rather he's, if not much better, PhD holder, a professor to it, a man who's actually done very well, elected before, he's done his work. So he's a proper son from the mountain, like all the rest. Unless now you want to actually get in and then subdivide the mountain, the type of politics I wouldn't want to talk about west versus east, this particular door and the other one. My people would talk about doors and houses. But then if the mountain is one, like Mheshimiwa has actually said, the mountain should rejoice that it did not lose anything. It simply changed clothes. And everybody does that frequently.
But maybe yesterday was not their favorite.
No, but that is the cloth they had in the arena. They had it in the wardrobe. So they simply changed.
They are not consulted on this one.
Who consulted them before? Because if anything, Kindiki won the election in the process of selection of a deputy president. When MPs who sat down, and he knows that process, all of us know about it, it's Kindiki who got the most votes.
So has Kindiki fit in Gachagwa's shoes?
It's not Gachagwa's shoes that Kindiki should fit in. Kindiki serves as the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Does he meet the requirements of being the Deputy President? Yes, he does. Has he gone through a process that is legally put in place for that? Yes, he has actually done that. Is he executing his role? Fine. Do you feel a gap?
People argue that is Ruto's appointee and not Kenyan's.
Even Gachagua was Ruto, but then the Constitution talks about the candidate picking. Even Rigathi Gachagua was an appointee of William Ruto, because the Constitution itself talks about, the law talks about the president picking a running mate.
But do you foresee President Ruto picking yet again Kindiki now to go with him to the ballot come 2027?
When I get to 2027, I will respond to that. But as per now, I am not William Ruto and I am not in 2027. But the truth is that both Gachagua and Kindiki are President William Ruto's choices, because the people in the mountain were not consulted when Rigiji came into place. So, and even the law gives the president the discretion, the candidate, the discretion to pick. No one forced either of those candidates on the president.
Let's focus on the political intolerance.
Yes.
Gachagua alleges an assassination plot in the Limuru attack.
Well, yesterday I watched him talk on NTV. There are a few points that the old lion actually raises, and they speak to sense. Issues around governance are important. It never matters who says them. Issues about corruption, issues about incompetence, issues about practices that do not better the republic. Those ones, we should never have an us versus them. When it comes to governance, it's so long as it's about the public good, even if it's the worst of Kenyans saying it, that there should be no us versus them. But then talking about an attempted assassination, I watched the video repeatedly. People wanted to assassinate the deputy president by use of public plastic chairs. But be that as it may, this is what I have gathered. Number one, that was totally, he walked into local politics. Then when he came in with a former MP who is a vicious rival of the current MP. And Limuru, since the days of Nyanja, if you can remember, Limuru has always been a very volatile place. It's not an easy place to actually be. The politics of Limuru could be a cold constituency, but the politics in Limuru is actually octane hot.
The culmination of whatever happened in Limuru was the withdrawal of his security detail.
Because, and that
is not part of the whole scheme.
That is an old practice. So first of all, let's lay this bare. First of all, the deputy president walked into volatile local politics. Mwadhi and Kiragu have, and they've never met, by the way. Let's also not lie to people. If you check out, you'll realize that every time those two forces have actually met, it's ended up in drama. So this was not the first time there was drama. Secondly, when the deputy president shows up with one of the rivals in a conflict, the other side feels the need and the necessity to respond. He can use that to spin for national value and his personal interest.
Maybe he felt if his security detail was still in place,
that's what I'm coming.
Been safer.
That's where I'm coming into. So it has been a practice, and Mheshimiwa here will tell you that every time you actually have got a police officer attached to you, and you go into a fight, that police officer has always been recalled. This is not the first time. You are a media person. Just see, every time politicians have actually taken their security, their assigned security men into a conflict zone, the standard practice by the National Police Service has been to recall the officers. So seeing the Limuru impasse, you see that the deputy president, knowingly or probably unknowingly, but literally for them, if you are given so much, like for example, the people who are given guns, there are some levels that you are supposed, to who much is given, much is required of them. So whether he knowingly or unknowingly, but the person as sharp as a serpent who is the deputy president must have known the implications. He's not, you do not underestimate him.
So in other words, you're saying he no longer deserves state protection?
No. That is an administrative process by NPS, that if you take police officers into a conflict of that nature, ordinarily, and you can check back, ordinarily they are pulled back. That he can sort with the Inspector General. It's not a difficult thing.
Honorable Gakuya, the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who you're actually a close ally, alleged an assassination attempt or plot in the Limuru attack. The withdrawal of his security detail. Is Ruto's government threatened by Gachagua being in the mountain, pitching tent there?
Joe, this is a very simple arithmetic, and the answer is simple. The reason why Gachagua was thrown out is because he was radicalizing in the mountain. And I believe those who felt that, in fact, that route is totally against their will, then they decided that then the best to do is throw Gachagua under the bus and silence him. Not knowing that, in fact, Gachagua probably he will just lies and start still becoming a threat. And I
so they were burying a seed.
And I can tell you for sure, the event in Limuru was nothing but a premeditated. And that was purely to threaten and silence this gentleman.
But he's saying it's only plastic chairs.
No, I can ask you as well, what can a plastic chair do to a windscreen? You found that the windscreens were totally broken into. And even you can see the body was hurt with, that has to tell you that they were using very strong either machetes or
crude weapons.
Crude weapons. And in this case, it tells you, it is only that Gachagua was a lucky person, that he moved out of that particular scene without being harmed. I can tell you. And me, what I would say is that even though you want to silence somebody, don't use that kind of ugly situation. Because one, already, the man, you have just thrown him out. He's just under the bus. And then you still keep on following him. This country is a country of rule of law. And every single Kenyan deserves to enjoy the freedoms of democracy of this country. Gachagua has every duty to keep visiting his friends. He has a freedom of worship anytime he wishes to worship with whatever church, anywhere in the Republic of Kenya. And also rights of association. In this case, why do you want to stop him from enjoying these fruits? And he still deserves to be enjoy the constitutional, that constitutional mandate. I would like to say that, in fact, if there is any action that, to me, remember, there was no single paper which was produced the following morning. We didn't find any single any newspaper in the streets. This tells you what? The state was barring something. If the state was very clear and their conscience was very clear, why did they interfere with the release of newspapers? I would want to state very clear. The state, as much as this country is a democratic country, and Kenyans required to enjoy democratic space, let us stop completely those cheap politics. Because surely, how can you imagine to come to use kind of that force on a burial ceremony? Even the respect of the dead, I would tell you, find another forum.
Are you warning
And
that?
I can tell you for sure, even those other forums, you have seen, and this has been there, even political forums. If really you want to, you want to leave this country to enjoy the fruits of the Constitution, then everybody, even at the head of state, he was elected. And remember, William Ruto campaigned for the last 5 good years in his second term. All through, nobody interfered with him. So let him not feel threat. Let him not feel threatened. Let him allow democracy to allow another candidate also to enjoy the same space.
Are you this morning calling on President Ruto to assure Gachagua of his security?
I can tell you, this country, if this country is going to be respected internationally and locally, let it be under the roof of the Constitution. Allow every member of this country to enjoy the fruits of the Constitution.
Do you want Gachagua security to be reinstated?
Of course, yes. That kind of orchestration actually showed Kenyans that actually Gachagua is under threat. Because assume public did not sue him. Who could have sued him?
What are the repercussions of Gachagua getting hurt? Or in this case, of course, alleging that it was an assassination attempt.
I don't want to go that much, but I can tell you the manner in which the vehicles were damaged. It tells you that, in fact, the premeditator's intention was totally bad. And it was either leave Gachagua crippled or else leave him dead. That is the only indicator.
Well, Rachel, political pundits argue that the danger of having Gachagua out in office was you leave him as an idle man, hence he has all the time to pitch tent in the mountain and actually pick opponents of current MPs, in this case the Limuru Member of Parliament, Parliament's actually opponent, and go with them to the ground. Was this something that maybe the government of the day could have missed the point, and it was too early to remove Gachagua, and now they are threatened by his actions in the mountain?
First, let me say political intolerance has no space in this current dispensation. I don't think the milestone we've covered as a nation or as a democracy would want to see such things, because if we continue in that manner, then there will be a lot of resurgence of such. And I think even His Excellency, the former Deputy President, spoke about it, that what we are yet to see then, it's like any other politician, if you feel your life is threatened, then you'll also be moving with goons like that to protect yourself. So I don't think if that is right at all what we saw over the weekend that happened, especially in a funeral where there are people who are mourning their loved ones, and yet there were no security around the place. And we know that it is even in the Constitution that where there is any gathering, the work of the police is to provide security. So there was a lapse in that area, and I think it's something that the government should take keen interest in. But again, coming to what you've just asked, I don't think if there's 100% truth in that, because we saw quite a number of MPs, including the one seated right in my on my side, followed Gachagua. So it's not like his focus is on those people who failed to clean seats in 2022. So you can't say that he has all the time to work with those who are aspiring to be leaders in the next general election, if I may say. But there are also other leaders who followed him. Those people who believe in his ideologies and what he stands for as a person. But I think, again, leaving Gachagua the way he was left, any other politician would want to re-emerge and have control, and also show that even though this is the kind of treatment that you've accorded me, but then I also have my people. I have people who still believe in me. I have people who can still fight for me. I have people who I can push into the direction that I would want to see the nation driven to. So I think in its whole entirety, Rigidi has a lot of time that actually now should worry the current president. That I thought we wished him out or away as a person, at a personal level. Remember even when Rigidi was being picked, as Arnold said, to be the running mate of the president, there were a lot of opposition. There were a lot of dissenting voices about who is this person, what is he coming to do, does he merit the position that is being given, and all that kind of manner of things. But he came out to be, I think I'm equal to the task. I know what I'm doing. The areas, in fact, during his impeachment, some of us, if you look at it in all fairness, one thing that should have come out clearly during his impeachment is, was he able to take up the roles that he was given by the president? Did he fail in any manner? But then they kept referring to, oh, he betrayed this, or he did not do this in subordination, and all that kind of stuff, which were not really weighty and holding if you look at the accusations or the claims that they pushed through. So I think at this point, there are a lot of quote-unquote, I would say, regrets from the president and his team, that we thought by throwing him out of power, then he was going to be armless and toothless. But then he's coming out to be much stronger than we expected, and that should worry them because he's actually having a lot of control and gaining control of the central region as it is.
Maliba, it's not the first time Gachagua is complaining of attempts to kill him. He asked President William Ruto to at least allow him to leave. Should it be a personal concern, or rather Ruto's concern, that Gachagua is safe wherever he is, because that would have an impact on his, political career if Gachagua is crippled, as Mheshimiwa Gakuya says, that was the attempt or killed?
First of all, I'd love, as much as I said that President William
Ruto... Also, you alleged that chairs are the only weapons that were used.
I have watched the video. I do not know. I saw the deputy...
In fact, Joe, let me, my good friend, tell Kenyans, can a chair break a windscreen?
Yes, it can.
A chair,
I own
a plastic.
I own a car, and
plastic.
I know there is a level of
stones,
plastics.
You can be thrown stones and stone cannot penetrate. Is it a chair?
Chacha, you have looked at the video. It's actually available online. There is no single place where I saw iron bars as alleged by the Deputy President. Not that we are trivializing or raining on his parade. But I saw plastic chairs being thrown around, and of course some stones. But let us also call that for what it is. It is political bad manners. That cannot be justified. Having said that, when we speak about the Deputy President being safe...
This was used in this case in abduction of the former MP and an MCA. So that, basically, according to Gachagua,
I do not think
places government at the center of this.
Chacha, look at this. First of all, the Deputy President is a very clever man. He comes from Mount Kenya. He is politically woke. He knew too well by showing up with Mwadhi, he was going to cause disruption. And definitely, we do not expect that Kiragu was supposed to sit there and do nothing about it. He's a politician. Not that any of that is actually justified. Both sides were wrong. The ones that were actually doing the invasion, the Deputy President who is coming with Mwadhi, politically, what does it say? It means I'm being invaded, and he was seated there. Did they consult with him? No. I know he has got a right of association, and it was a funeral, anyone can come in. But it has got political implications. What I do not agree is this line about assassination. Honestly,
and abduction.
Let's start first. Let's deal with the assassination. It's much bigger than this alleged abduction. So, because the assassination of a Kenyan,
maybe next it will be Gachagua will be abducted.
That's what. No, you are now veering into the province of conjecture. Leave, get out of that. So you see,
he's been trailed by an unknown vehicle before.
You have never been trailed yourself? As in, all of us once in a while are trailed by vehicles in the street, sometimes by the people we've done business with. Sometimes it's just paranoia. And by the way, for the person of the Deputy President, it's just the state is actually keeping him safe. You are asking the state to ensure that the Deputy President, the former Deputy President,
the car
is safe.
That was trailing Gachagua,
and when the government,
just to ensure that
when the government, look at this, Rachel, wait. When the government is actually ensuring that you are safe,
they trail you.
It's within the government's discretion to come up with. Are you a politician? Are you a politician? I'm saying, are you a police officer? You are not. The police know how to keep us safe. They keep us safe in ways we do not know, including having people out there.
What became during the Limuru event then?
The Limuru event was that there was chaos, and if the lousy idea that that was actually an attempted assassination is what I'm actually trying to disabuse here, is that whoever wanted to assassinate the Deputy President would have people shouting and throwing around chairs, really. As in, I know it's bad manners, it's all those things we can call it.
Crude weapons were used.
But let us not sensationalize. I saw the video, even a chair is a crude weapon. What I'm saying is that we are sensationalizing this. That line of argument will polarize the region, and we might not be ready to actually deal with the consequences. So, there was political bad manners in Limuru. The police have reached out to everybody. The Deputy President says he cannot go, or his people cannot go to actually record a statement. So you spoke about abduction. I think we are also conflating too much. That when the police come for you, we call it abduction. So when is an arrest an arrest?
So are you saying the police were in that event, yet they could not arrest those who
there were members of parliament. There were members of parliament in that meeting. True or false?
There were.
It goes without saying that they are therefore police, right? So the police should have shot the people who were actually throwing chairs. The most important thing was to evacuate the former Deputy President. That is what makes sense. You see.
So why go with the former MP and MCA in this case?
By the way, whoever planned that
and they were
mayhem,
incommunicado.
Chacha, whoever planned that, I do not know whoever did it. But because I'm a practicing politician, I will tell you this, that the tactical value of that disruption was simply to deplatform the former deputy president. Whoever did that just wanted him not to speak there. And then you will ask, cui bono, who benefits in that? There was only one person to benefit. The person who felt threatened in that particular instance was the person who felt like his opponent has come with backup. That is local politics gone bad. We cannot nationalize that. The deputy president walked into a bad situation. Let us not then now blame the National Police Service. Let us not blame the president. Let us not blame everybody else. Because only one person stood to benefit in that particular instance, where if the deputy president, now very popular in that region, were to speak, and you have got an MP on the other side who appears to be opposed to him, who was going to lose in that?
Well, share your views. Is President William Ruto keen to silence Gachagua? Talk to us via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha, as well on SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of the screen. So when we come back, still be having this conversation on the state of the nation. Stay tuned.
The biggest reggae and rhythm show ever on Kenyan television.
You have a ganja man and you wanna forget. Tell him nothing.